What is going on, guys? As the title says, it is time to do pads on the ZR2. Rotors look okay. If they look terrible once the wheels are off, I might just go grab rotors as well. But focusing on the pads today, because that's they're down to the squealers. I'm pretty sure it's the OEM pads that are on it. They just turned 50,000 miles, so they've done their job. Time for some new ones. Let's go get it done. All right, so as you can see, truck's jacked up, have a jack stand under it in the back. Lug nuts are off. Get your damn wheel off. All right, so you got your wheel off. Everything's exposed, right? This is a Brembo style caliper, is like what I like to call it. Super simple to get the pads out of here. You're gonna see that there are these pins. Those are your guide pins for the pads. A retaining clip, that's what put pressure on the pads. And you're gonna see right in here, there's these little cotter pins. That's what's physically holding this pin, the guide pin, in the caliper. We're gonna go ahead and get a Phillips screwdriver, because on the back of these pins, right in here, there's a Phillips head to help you rotate to get that cotter pin out. And you're gonna use needle nose pliers to pull those out. And then we are going to use a little mallet to pop these pins out to get the pads out. So let's get started. All right, so you got your pads out. That's what they look like when they're out. One thing that I always like to do before I put new pads in or do new rotors, honestly, is just get some brake parts cleaner up in there and let it clean up the inside where those pistons are. Especially if you do off-roading and stuff, it's just really important to do. You can literally go to O'Reilly's where you buy your parts, it doesn't matter. Buy parts cleaner. O'Reilly's brand parts cleaner is typically the best from what I found, unless you want to buy the expensive CRC stuff. And yeah, you let that stuff do its job, a couple sprays, and then we start putting our new pads back in. All right, so a lot of new pads. There's your pads. Here's your hardware. It's very important that you keep your cotter pins from the last pads and the pins themselves, because you don't get new pins, and if you screwed your pins up, you need to go to the parts store and buy new ones. But yeah, get your new retaining clips and you can start going back together. Now there are going to be times throughout this process where you feel like the new pads just don't want to go in, and that's because they don't, because your pistons are not depressed far enough for them to fit back into these slots up against the rotor. So get your pry bar, like I said, flat up against the pad, and just with a little bit of force, you'll feel the pistons move. I promise, you'll feel the pad move back. Do that on both sides. Hold it for a minute. Pull your pad out. Get your new pad. It's gonna be a snug fit. Then once you've got them both in there, you're gonna go ahead and start reassembling. All right, so now you're ready to go back together. Got your retaining clip. It just sits in there like this. You may need to use your screwdriver to get the eyes of the brake pads to line up with the pinholes. But once you do that, you really just need to slide these pins through. If you're like my truck that has crusty calipers that have been used off-road a bunch, sometimes they do fight you a little bit. That's why I use a lot of brake clean. Some people like to grease these pins a little bit. I really don't. So what you're gonna do is get these pins in the centers. I'm gonna check this one out. And start getting these calipers back together and get you back on the road. So sometimes these pins get a bunch of crap built up on them. You know, obviously you're working with either a organic pad or a ceramic pad. It doesn't really matter. You're going to get brake dust and just metal from the brake pad compound stuck up in there, and it will cause these pins to get crusty, and they don't want to slide through properly. And rather than banging on them with a hammer, potentially bending them, just clean them up with some Scotch-Brite, and then they should slide right back in like new. You've got your pins in, your clip is sprung holding the pads in, and you've got your cotter pins back in. So now get your wheel back on and get back on the road.
Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day. Yeah, I'm tired of shit, and the coffee ain't hit yet, damn, ain't that great. I don't wanna go to work, cause my boss is a jerk, and I'm not even that paid. I need a change in my life, cause I don't feel alive, and there's nothing that makes me happy. Hold my beer for a minute, I'm about to quit my job, cash in for a ticket. I'm going on a trip, and I don't plan to visit, I'm gonna stay there.